Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this AMA session. I would also like to welcome all our guardians and learners who have joined today. I hope that you will have a lot of fun in this session. So in today's lesson, we will learn all about settlements. I hope you are as excited as I am about this. In the previous session, you looked at the learning path for this module and how you would prepare for this live session by going through the content first. I'm now going to show you what you could experience in a live session. Okay, so who am I? I'm Ms. Smith, and I'm the subject specialist, or better known as teacher to most of you, for social sciences grade 8 and 9. And I hope to see a lot of you learners in my class next year. Okay, guys, now for the famous introduction. This is Fudgy. She's my colleague. She joins me in class every single day. And this is what is so cool about schooling. I mean, you can have all your colleagues and all your friends surround you every single day. So Fudgy knows a lot about social science. Hopefully you'll all get to meet Fudge next year. Okay, so just to run through some of the settings for today. So guys, this is how to turn your camera on. I love to see all the faces so that I know who I'm talking to, and also like, yeah, what you look like. I don't like teaching a blank screen. And then we're not going to use the unmute for today. So what I would rather want you guys to do is to type your answers in the message box. And then also, don't raise your hand unless it is for the game sessions. They also, fastest fingers first. I would rather stop raising hands and pop the answer in the question box, because then you're going to win the game. Right, so what are we going to cover today? We are going to do an Ask Me Anything on settlements. So in today's live session, we will learn all about sessions. Settlements are quite a cool object or subject to do. This is mainly for grade 8 learners, but I appreciate that some of you might be joining us from other grades. Guys, don't worry about that. You will not be writing a mastery check after this session. Okay, so I'm going to repeat that. You will not be writing a mastery check after the session. But listen carefully and let's see if you can get some of the questions right in my games. Okay, so usually we go through the learning outcomes of a module first. So the learning outcomes for this module is to define a settlement and then also get to know the two different types of settlement. Then we are also going to discuss the types of land use within a rural settlement. As you can see, we have two learning outcomes in this module. Each one of these will be addressed in an AMA session during the week of the module, giving learners 2 live sessions per module per week. So for this AMA session, I had to basically combine these 2 lessons to give you a full grasp of what to experience. Okay, so the first thing is introducing settlements. And this is my introduction to settlements to make it a little bit easier. So for as long as humans have existed, we have established settlements. People choose to inhabit and establish communities in specific areas due to the advantages they offer for both human and animal life. So what does this mean? It means that you are not going to go and build a settlement in the middle of the desert where there's no water. The sand's going to hit you every day. And how do you build a house on sand? Doesn't make sense. Okay, but unless your whole entire country is made up of desert, then you might have a problem. So settlements usually give us an advantage. People long ago, when they built settlements, they thought of things like rivers. Okay, rivers supply me with water, or a nice, beautiful mountain, or good farmland. So the decision of where to settle is influenced by various factors and individual interests. So a person's individual interest also plays a role at where they're going to live. A good example of settlements is an ancient Egyptian settlement. So why do you think the Egyptians settled along the Nile River? Anybody want to pop that into the message box? So why? There's water, exactly, Pink C81. So there's water. The Nile River provided them with fertile soil. The Nile River is also big enough for them to use it as a trade route. And it also had numerous other benefits that greatly improved the ways of life. I can just think of fishing, okay? For the people who like eating fish, the Nile River might have been a very good option to use. So, who can tell me what the geographical definition of a settlement is? I've now told you what I think a settlement is, okay? So now it's your turn. You guys can just type that into the message box as well. I want a proper geographical definition. Let me just open up my chat box to see what you guys are saying here. Anybody want to take a guess? Yeah, I know I said the word geographical, so that makes it hard already, right? So what is a settlement? Let's see. It's a place where people stay and work. Janet de Jager, did you steal my notes before class? Okay, so a settlement is a place where buildings are built for a specific function. So settlements are regions of land where people choose to live, and by doing so, they establish a presence in that particular area. So people interact with each other and with the environment around them on a regular basis. Settlements can be classified in three ways. The function of the settlement that we will look at a little bit later, then also the size of a settlement, and also the pattern of a settlement. So settlements can be categorized as either rural or urban. We will look at those definitions in a little bit detail just now as well. So in a rural settlement, most inhabitants are involved in primary economic activities. So what does primary economic activities mean? That's basically we take something out of nature and we use it just like it is, okay? So primary economic activities would be farming, where you take a potato and you use it just like that. Or you take a piece of gold and you don't really do something with it. You use it just like that. But then in urban settlements, most of the inhabitants are involved in secondary and tertiary activities. So a secondary activity is where we take these raw materials to a factory and then we start making new products with it. And then when we get to tertiary activities, that is when we provide a service to somebody else. Okay, guys, I hope you're ready for a movie. I did prepare a short little movie for you for today. And this is a time lapse. I'm just going to play you a short little part. But this is a time lapse of how a human settlement can develop over time. So I've taken a very exaggerated one, and I did this for a reason, because rural settlements can also turn into urban settlements because of development. And this is exactly what happened with this settlement, just very, very, very fast, excluding the time lapse that I've added. Okay, so let's stop it there. The streaming has stopped it perfectly for me. I wanted to stop it on 30 seconds. Okay, so as we can see in the video of Dubai, a settlement can develop very quickly, and it can also change from rural to urban based on the development that takes place within a settlement. So once upon a time, Dubai was a small little rural area, and then it started developing and they started building, and they built very, very, very fast in Dubai. And then it turned into a major urban settlement. Okay, guys, Miss Smith has now, this happens every class. I've lost my mouse pointer because I'm using 3 screens. Okay, I've got it. Right. So this is an image of a developed urban settlement. Then this is an image of a very rural settlement in eastern Kenya. Okay, so another question. Who can tell me what the difference is between these 2 types of settlements? You can type it in the message box. Buildings, roads, infrastructure. There are many buildings, infrastructure. That's it, guys. So infrastructure, buildings, roads, services. So it all boils down to development. In an urban area, we will see a lot more development. And then also, it boils down to the following: the functions of a settlement. Now, I don't know about you guys. Let me just switch on my pen here because I want to align stuff, okay? I usually like explaining a sentence because if you look at this, functions of a settlement, okay, we know what a settlement is now, but do we know what a function is? Okay, and there I've put it for you. So a function is the purpose of something. So when we talk about the function of a settlement, we're talking about why was this place developed, okay? So each one of these settlements that we saw in the previous pictures have different functions. The function of a settlement refers to the main activities or purpose of the settlement. So, for example, in a very urban area, we can have residential areas, we can have industrial areas, commercial and recreational services. Oh yeah, did I say residential? Because the people need a place to live, right? So residential areas as well. And then in the case of this lesson, the function of a settlement is the purpose of the land in that settlement. So settlements can then be singular functional or multifunctional. Oh yeah, sorry guys, I just need to switch off the pen again so I can click. So settlements can either be singular functional, which means they will only have one function. That's usually more our rural settlements that were developed because of one function. And then settlements can also be multifunctional, which means that they will have many functions within that one specific settlement. So let's look at the functions of a settlement. Okay, so at the top, we see a singular function can be farming, mining, forestry, or fishing. And we'll discuss these just now. Okay, so a singular functional settlement. This settlement was basically developed because of one of these functions. Because of farming, so a little farming town, and then they needed houses for the people to live in. Then we also get multifunctional, which will be way more urban areas. And a multifunctional settlement can have any of the following in it. Can have industrial zones, residential areas, commercial areas, services, and recreation. Okay. Now, here's the one thing that you must remember. A rural settlement or a singular functional settlement can also have some of these services, but they're not going to have as many. Okay. Usually when we look at singular functional, we call these, I knew that was going to happen. This pen just doesn't want to work with me today. Oh yeah, I need to switch it on. Okay, so singular functional are usually our rural settlements, and then multifunctional is usually our urban settlements. Right, guys, I hope that you listened, because it's time for a game. Once I can find my mouse. Okay, so now let's see if you've been paying attention. This is a true or false game. So the only thing that you have to do here is, if you believe my statement is true, you're going to pop me a thumbs up. If you believe my statement isn't true or false, you're going to pop me a thumbs down. Now, I know there's a lot of guardians in this session. So guardians, just to refresh your memories, because I think you about my age, and I know we're a bit technologically disadvantaged. So if the guardians want to play along, you go to the bottom of your screen by the smiley face, and then you will find the thumbs up and thumbs down there. Right, guys, are you ready? So let's get going. So true or false? A singular functional settlement is a type of settlement that primarily focuses on one specific economic activity or function. Geez, you guys read way faster than I am. I'm not even done. Okay, let's see. I'm seeing a whole bunch of thumbs ups. Okay. Not seeing a thumbs down. So well done, guys. That is absolutely true. Right, the next one. A multifunctional settlement typically serves only one purpose, such as agriculture or mining. You guys are fast. I'm seeing one, ooh, okay, I'm seeing thumbs downs. Right, let's see if this one is true or false. So this is definitely false. Okay, then the next one, settlements that provide housing, education, healthcare, and employment opportunities can be categorized as multifunctional settlements. Ooh, that was a quick one. Okay, so you guys are 100% right if you threw me a thumbs up. Okay, well done, guys, and thanks for playing along. So now we are going to look at rural settlements. Remember, we get two types of settlements, our urban settlements and our rural settlements. But now, specifically, we are going to look at rural settlements. So what is a rural settlement? So it's an area where we don't see major density and we don't see a lot of infrastructure. We see a lot of open spaces and vegetation around the area. And there's probably farming and stuff like that. So I stay in a very, very rural area. My town's called Pietersburg. We have one tar road. I think we have an ATM. We have 7 churches and 1 shop. Okay. So the reason that my town was built was because it is a very good area to farm potatoes. But then the farmers needed a place to stay if they didn't want to live on the farm. So they decided to build Pietersburg so that they can go to the new word for most of you, koöperasie. I didn't know what that meant when I moved here. But that's like a little or a big shop where you can go buy all your farming equipment. Okay? So rural communities are basically concentrated on primary economic activities. So these little areas were created because of a specific function. Let's look at rural communities in more detail. So they usually have primary economic activities, which is we take whatever is in nature and we use it exactly like it is. Okay. Then we get the characteristics of a rural settlement. So they have a small population, low population density. Now, if we talk about population density, best way to explain this one is, okay, so in a big city, the people are very squashed together. You live in townhouses. When the person next door's dog barks, you hear it, okay? When my neighbor's dog barks, I don't hear it because he lives so far away from me. My cousin lives right next door to me. And if I want to go visit them, I have to drive a kilometer to get to them, okay? So they can also have natural resources like rivers and forests. Jobs are within the primary economic sector, so most people will be in either farming, forestry, mining, or stuff like that. Then we have fewer commercial spaces and recreational activities. Very true. Like one shop. Okay. Have you guys ever heard about a place that doesn't have a mall? My town doesn't have a mall. I have to drive 80 kilometers to get to shops. Then it does not offer a lot of services that might be otherwise offered in cities and towns. Right, so let's talk about services. Tar roads, good electricity, good Wi-Fi. That's services, guys. We don't even have fiber. If the the Vodacom tower dies, they have to switch on a generator. And sometimes they forget. And then I get in trouble by school because my power's off. Okay, so what do we use the land for? So the land in a rural settlement is used either for fishing, farming, forestry, or mining. Okay, let's look at all of these individually. Okay, so the first one is agriculture or farming. So we get two types, subsistence farming and commercial farming. So subsistence farming is where the farmer basically just farms enough food to feed him and his family. And if there's something over, they can sell it to other people. But it's not a business. Then commercial farming is what we see in South Africa a lot. These massive, massive, massive farms that sell stuff to the shops. So if you buy food in a shop, you most probably have bought or supported a commercial farm. Okay, so to link this back to our primary economic activities. Remember I said primary economic activities is when we take something out of the ground and we use it just like that. So that's this type of farming. But, so there's my potato. I take my potato and I bring it home and I make baked potato. That's all I'm going to do with it. I don't do much with it. I use it just like it is. But with secondary economic activities, this same potato gets taken to a factory and it gets turned into a Simba chippy. You guys remember that? Who wants to be a Simba chippy, right? So the potato now wants to be a Simba chippy. Then we get mining. So mining is basically when we take something and we extract it out of the ground. So gold, copper, silver, and mining settlements are usually very small. They just give people who work on the mine a residential area and a few shops. Good example of this is where I grew up, the Big Hole in Kimberley. Okay, everybody knows about the Big Hole. That was where diamonds were found. Then we get forestry. So this is found in natural forests, and the focus is working in woods and sawing mills. Then we get fishing. So a fishing settlement is usually next to a river or the ocean or a lake where people can fish and then sell this fish. Okay. Last one, fastest fingers first. Okay. So for this one, you will have to type the answer in the message box. Okay, let's just get ourselves going. Okay, so question 1. rural settlements tend to have a small population or B, large population. Okay, and the correct answer is small population. Well done, guys. Then the next one, rural settlements function or thrive on primary economic activities, tertiary economic activities, quaternary economic activities, or secondary economic activities. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of primary. And the answer is primary. Well done. Okay, so name one land use of rural settlements. Farming, forestry, mining. There's one missing. Ah, I got it, fishing. Okay, so it is agriculture, mining, forestry, and fishing. Okay, guys, that's it. Well done, and thanks for playing along. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the AMA. Thank you so very much for everybody that joined. I hope you had fun, and I hope that you learned something new. Okay, and then also I hope to see a lot of you in grade 8 and grade 9 next year. Okay, so your next session will be the learners. You are going to go into a learner check-in, and then guardians, you are going to go to a guardian session with our executive head of school.